We're rolling. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Luton's Deadpool podcast today. Myself, Luton's Deadpool, and my lovely guest, Janet, who's come from Bedfordshire Fire Rescue. Sorry, I nearly got that wrong. And she's from the volunteering department. So, hello, Janet. How are you doing? Thank you very much.
Hi, Deadpool. Lovely to join you today. Thank you
awesome.
for inviting me.
Yeah, of course. Well, we met recently at the AUK Radio station for their Saturday morning kind of podcast session, isn't it?
Yes, with Junior.
Yeah, with Junior. Great guy, Junior Badial, does amazing things for the community. He's been doing that podcast show for quite a long time now as well. I can't remember what he said, how long it had been.
He didn't say 13 years, did he?
I think it was something like that. It was quite a long time, but yeah, big guy, big inspiration. So, thank you, Junior, for getting us to meet, and obviously for us and I'll be able to do a podcast. We chat a little bit about it when we met, and obviously we're basically in the same sort of realm of volunteer sort of orientated work, and want to give back our time for free to help the community. So. Yeah, thank you for joining me, and I just wanted to first get to know you better, because obviously we chatted a little bit that day, but I didn't actually get to find out much about you and who you are, where you're from, or any of that stuff. So, can you just give us a little rundown of everything, Janet?
Well, I'm born and bred Lutonian.
Awesome.
So my father came from Ireland. He came over to England in '56, moved to Luton. I met my mother. They moved to Luton. They got married, moved to Luton in '59, and then they had family here, and we all grew up here. At the moment, I've worked with volunteers for about 20 years, so I've been recruiting volunteers for a couple of different charities in Luton and in central Bedfordshire. I've worked for a community interest company as well in central Bedfordshire, and I'm now with the Bedfordshire Fire Rescue Service, and we're looking for volunteers.
Awesome.
And volunteering is so much more, because the volunteers get so much out of it. It's great. You get to do something worthwhile. It's not the hassle and the pressure of a job as such, but you get the pleasure of helping people and seeing the difference you make. And the roles we've got are mostly person-facing, so we want help at events, things like that. Come and help us set up, etc., to do home fire safety visits, which are free to any eligible vulnerable person, and to help us with follow-ups on those, and perhaps to give safety talks or accompany our staff giving safety talks, etc. And it's all helping with fire prevention, which means fewer fires keeps everybody safer.
Okay, cool. But you kind of skipped my question, because I wanted to know about you, not your volunteer.
I know.
We'll talk about that in a minute. in a minute. You're very good at promoting them, but I want to find out about you. Okay, so let's rewind. It was great. I liked it. It was good.
Okay, so I'm born and bred here.
So yeah, you're born in Luton. Where did you go to school?
I went to my junior, infant and junior school was St Joseph's, which is in Blundell Road, Avenue Grimaldi. I think a lot of people know it. It's up Gardenia Avenue. And then I left there. I used to play a lot of netball there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was very fond of netball when I was in junior school, and they had a very good team in those days. This is going back a long time.
Yeah.
If I just say it was, 40 plus years ago, I'll leave it at that. And then I went to high school, and I went to Denby. That was just soon after it had changed. It had been a grammar school, apparently, but it had changed just before I went. And I went to Denby.
And what was your experience as a school like? Did you enjoy school?
I did quite enjoy school. I enjoyed junior and infant school more, I think. But that's just the way life is.
Yeah.
There were some aspects of senior school I liked, such as we went swimming and we had tennis. We could play a lot of tennis and things. And then I went to Luton Sixth Form College for a couple of years.
Big up Luton Sixth Form. A lot of great people passed through there, I have to say.
I know, and me. So that was it. And then my first job actually working was as a trainee operating department assistant in the hospital.
Oh, okay.
Which is a bit like an operating theatre technician. So you go to college at the same time as you're working. And
what was you actually studying in college? What was it?
I was studying a specific city in Guilds thing called operating department assistant.
Okay.
And we had to go to Welling for that. It wasn't every day. It was only one day a fortnight, and an occasional week. We had a couple of bursts of a week. And we learned all about anaesthetics, biology, you name it. And basically I was in the anaesthetic room and the operating theatre assisting my trained colleagues. And then I obviously became trained. Things such as putting the table in the correct position, having the right equipment out, checking machines, a lot of safety checks, but all very necessary. And that was good. And I was there until mid-80s. And then I worked abroad for 2 years, which was a very interesting experience.
Yeah. What was you doing abroad?
I was an operating department assistant in the Middle East.
Oh, wow. Wow, that is very interesting. It
was quite interesting. I was on the east of Saudi, so it's the opposite side to Jeddah. Yeah. Riyadh's in the middle, and then I was on the east side.
What on earth made you go from here over there? Like, where did that?
Well, I hate to admit it, the attraction was the pay was more than double what I was getting paid in the NHS.
Hey, money makes the world
go round. Exactly. And I know it's also it was a hospital in an American army base, but they treated Saudi who were in the army or forces and all their families. And it was quite a new thing, these type of hospitals for Saudi at that point. And they were essentially trying to offer medical provision to people who'd never really had much medical provision before. And I thought that was quite a good thing.
Yeah.
So it was a really cross-section of people we were treating, and it was quite interesting. Obviously, most of the time they were asleep because they were in the operating theatre. So I worked there for a couple of years and then came home and changed. And I started working in public relations, then publishing.
Then publishing?
Yeah.
You've had a very, very strange, interesting life.
Well, they do lead from one another, because part of PR is writing articles and getting them published, and then also a lot of PR companies publish in-house magazines. So it's that type of thing I was doing. And I went from publishing and I carried on with publishing and PR. Then I decided I wanted to do something different, like the third sector. The third sector is basically the voluntary and community sector. I wanted to do something that meant a lot, sort of made a difference to local people.
Yeah.
So I got into working with a charity, and then I became volunteer manager there. And I've just carried on doing volunteer management with a bit of promotion mixed in wherever I've been.
So this is just it's a lot to unpack. There's a lot of stuff.
Well, I've had quite a long working life.
Yeah.
So I've done other things, and you do change professions, but they all sort of merge in. The health service was a little bit different, but I did want to change, but I didn't want to go into health service management. So I thought I'd try something different, and that's when I went into PR and publications. Yeah.
So why volunteering then? Like, to have gone, these are obviously very different career paths that you've chosen, but then to only end up in volunteering.
I have done volunteering, but I'm actually volunteer manager, and that's a paid role.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to recruit volunteers to assist us, and I look after them and manage them, because I think volunteers make a real difference.
Yeah.
And it's not just the service they provide, or the expansion of services, which means more local people are able to get those services. And it's usually people who need them, and there's so many more people need. We all need a helping hand or a bit of advice at some time. Everybody does, whether we like to admit it or not. I just think it's worthwhile, and volunteers get so much out of it. You know, you get up and you know that somebody wants to see you, wants your help, etc. It's something we all need. It's a human need to be wanted and needed, and to do something useful. You don't have all the stress of a job when you're volunteering. You can learn at your own pace. Haven't got targets. You can build your skills. Then if you want to move into a job, or you might be thinking, I'd like to do that sort of work, but I've never done it, etc. It's very hard to get into. But if you do a bit of volunteering, see what it's like, you'll know more about it, and then you'll also know whether it's the type of work you want. If you haven't worked for a while, whether you've been at home with children or you've just not had a good time and you've not been working, it's getting a job without a recent employment reference is very hard, because there's so much competition. Unless you've got something really specific to offer. But if you say, well, I haven't been working, but I've been volunteering, the fact that you've been volunteering, turning up on time, helping, being part of a team, doing this, doing that, it's I think, better than a work reference.
Yeah,
because
no,
it
I
shows
agree.
you're doing it because you want to do it, and it shows you're a motivated individual.
Yeah,
So it's great, and it's worthwhile. You know, if you're going and helping people, you're giving safety talks, or say you're visiting people and giving advice in the home, you know, about how to keep themselves safe or what they need to think about. You're helping them. They feel safer at home. Even if everything in their house is perfect, then at least they know it is, and they'll feel more secure. And if you can give advice or help, or it's other things, our safety checks also include well-being. So it might be that they actually are a bit fed up at home because since they fell over, they haven't been going out much, and they didn't know that there is a club near them, or that there is another organisation which provides befriending or lifts to the local day centre or something. And sometimes people don't know about all these. So if you're having a safety check, we can tell people about those as well.
yeah. No, so, I mean, doing any kind of volunteering, I always recommend it to anybody to do. I think that a lot of people stumble in that. When you've never done anything like that before, it's kind of hard to see like how to get into it. But it's from my personal experience, it's always been relatively easy to go sign up to volunteer for somewhere. But I guess you need to first have it in you. You know, the one thing that I find common amongst all volunteers is that they're always really selfless in what they want to give in their time, and we don't always find that we're like that all the way through our lives. Like I certainly wasn't. You know, it was only within the last 3 sort of years when I started doing what I've been doing, and I think that that's because I've had a change in my life view, and sometimes that's kind of what it takes, right, to get to being like that. I mean, for you, obviously you've started doing. How long have you been doing this job now?
I actually moved in 2003, so it's 20 years.
Wow, it's a long time. So, obviously, leading up before that, was you one of them type of people who would volunteer their time or donate or stuff like that?
I did, but I volunteered for a conservation group prior to that. And I did also, I had parents then, and they were one of those that's quite ill, I was looking after, but I did volunteer occasionally with a friend of mine, but I never really got into it. And then I just got to the point where I thought, I want to do something that actually makes a difference.
Yeah.
That I can see all the difference it makes, and I'm connecting with the people, the difference it makes.
Yeah.
Because I've worked on a lot of different industrial things, but, you know, there are coatings, which are different types of paint, you know, industrial paints and so forth. But perhaps it is very important to have good paint and so forth and coatings, but you reach at some point, it all feels a little bit distant, and you want to actually deal with people on a hands-on basis. And that's what I like about the volunteer managing jobs I've had, because I'm dealing with lots of different people, because volunteers come from all walks of life, you know, and they all want something, not all, but want different things out of volunteering, which is totally logical, because some people just want to get a bit of experience. Some people want to build confidence. Some people are semi-retired and want to keep active.
Yeah.
And then some people are just at uni, got a job, and they have a bit of spare time or something. So there are all sorts of reasons. There's a variety there. And then the different services that I've been involved with that volunteers provide. That's really interesting as well. And then you have the clients, recipients of services, you know, and most of them, 98%, 99% of them are absolutely lovely.
Yeah.
You know, and they're really lovely people. And and it's just it's like it's a privilege. I'm not actually helping them direct, volunteers are, but it's a privilege to be involved in helping them.
Yeah.
It really is.
What I always find as well is with volunteering for myself anyway, you know, I deal with a lot of mental health issues and stuff, and when I volunteer, that always helps massively. It always takes a lot of the weight off, and not just because of the actual work itself, but because of the people who you're working with. They're very kind, caring people, and if you share stuff with them, they tend to offer a hand of support back, and it can be a very like loving, warm, kind environment to be in.
It is, because people appreciate you're doing it for nothing, and I think they do value it. You know, I know other staff value it as well, and from you know, if you have minor mental health issues, I'm not an expert, but you know what it's like. Some days you just don't feel like doing anything or getting out. But you know that if you do get up and get out, even if you just go for a walk, when it's a lovely day and it's not raining, you feel so much better for it. So if you make that initial oomph to get up and out and go and do your volunteering, once you're there, you think, oh, I'm so glad I'm here, and people are interacting with you, and you go home and you feel so much better for it. It does make a difference.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And then you see the point of everything as well.
Yeah, it's like a big perspective shift there, because you know, you can often, like I find for myself, you know, I've had a really rough time with it lately, and I've actually stepped back on a lot of things that I do, and I kind of keep wanting to get back into it and start again, like, and push forward and do more, but then my mental health kicks in and it knocks me flying all over again. And it is really hard to sort of step out and just say, do you know what, I'm going to put my stuff to the side for a second to go and help people that are in serious need. Because then as soon as you start doing it, you know, and you see the stress and strain that some people are under, like you say, it can sort of change how you view things, and you can then start to see your problems as being kind of less, and that if there's one thing that you can do is you can go and volunteer and help out. So yeah, I think it's really important what you said there. And yeah, like, you know, for me, I think that my biggest problem is that as soon as like I feel low, it's like I just don't want to see a single person. And the truth is that if I do get out and do it, it just, all of them feelings go away. You know what I mean?
It's just trying to encourage yourself to go out before you feel so bad you can't.
Yeah.
But not just sort of thinking, oh, you have to sometimes force yourself a little bit. One thing about volunteering is that it's actually flexible, because it's not, you know, when you're in a paid work, you turn up every day, you do whatever, you book your holidays, everything. With volunteering, roles vary, but for example, if you say, well, I'm going to take the whole of July off, just fancy having the whole of July off.
Yeah.
Well, you're a volunteer, you can. We do say to people, if you can let us know as much in advance. No, because people usually have holidays booked, so they know. But sometimes people go, oh, we're going away next week. That's fine, good, you know, whatever. That's all flexible, and that's one of the beauties of volunteering.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, it can obviously leave the business a bit of a disadvantage. It's a balance between not being reliant on volunteers, but being able to use them to get our services to more people, so more people can benefit. And a lot of that isn't, you know, a lot of the things can be arranged around a volunteer's commitments. Yeah, exactly. No, you're bang right. Okay, we're going to take a break now.
Yeah.
And when we come back, we're going to talk actually about what it is that you're doing, like who you work for, all that sort of stuff.
Excellent.
Good stuff. All
Cheers.
right, see you in a sec. And we're back. Thank you very much for staying with us. We're going to be now talking a bit more in depth about what Janet actually does for a job now, and who it's for, and what you can do to help, and how you can volunteer, all that sort of stuff. So, Bedfordshire Fire Rescue. You talked a little bit about them on the radio the other day when we was together, and it sounds like a great thing, that a service that's been offered to people around Bedfordshire to get involved, to help out, gain some experience as well, because there's other benefits towards doing volunteering than just the actual personal enjoyment of it. So yeah, if you can just like explain a little bit about Bedfordshire Fire Rescue and who they are, and the volunteering side of it, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
The floor is yours.
Well, Bedfordshire Fire Rescue Service, you've probably seen the fire engines out at emergencies, fires. They also go to RTCs, road traffic collisions and so forth, and they assist in other emergencies with the police, etc., etc. But as well as the emergency services, they do a lot of prevention work, and that's really important. I work a lot of the time with the community safety team and the home fire safety prevention. So they offer free visits, so anybody eligible, so that's over 65, you have mobility problems, long-term health problems, there's quite a long list. Any of those, drug or alcohol, you live in a cluttered environment, they will come and do a free safety visit, and that includes checking that you've got smoke alarms, installing them if necessary, and carbon monoxide monitors, and just giving you advice about safety. So it might even cover things such as locks on your doors and security issues. You might be worried that your back door doesn't lock properly, that sort of thing, and they can give help and advice on that, or refer you on elsewhere.
Okay, cool.
And those are the type of things that we want volunteers to help with. All training is provided. The team also goes out to events. If you're at events last weekend or this weekend, there are several. There's an open day in Leighton Buzzard. There's an open day in Kempston Fire Station. Luton Afro Fest is on.
Yep, I'll be there.
We'll be there.
Yep, I'll see you there.
There's a fun day in Hockwell Ring as well. So there's lots of things on, and that's just this weekend, the 22nd. And we'll be there giving out safety information, etc., and trying to recruit volunteers.
That's good. Well, I'll certainly come down to see you guys and say hello and try and draw some people in. I'm a bit of an eyesore, so I can.
Perfect. We want you to come. And we'll put you on our social media.
I'll get me like a fire hat, and
we will have a little.
Amazing.
We will have a little outfit for children to wear. Well, but we'll bring a big.
I was going to say, like, I am a big child.
Yeah, so we have one for little children to dress up in, so they can have their photo taken.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, I always remember being a child and going to these sort of things, and it is just so exciting to be around. I think the open days and the fetes and, festivals and just anything that you have the services at, it always provides such a positive experience for kids. Because when you're a kid, like, they are the big heroes. Like, you really want to be near them to talk to. They're serious, real heroes.
I was at Sheffield Open Day, not last weekend, weekend before. And they even let me sit on their bike and have my photo taken. I like motorbikes. And we had lots going on there. So there were children learning about the dinghy and the throw line for water safety.
Oh, okay.
And we had a reaction test time and cool. Different things. And we were giving out colouring packs, and smaller children were having their photo taken with the little outfits on. So it's that type of thing. So volunteer would help us there as well, and they'd be giving out information.
And that is such a fun day to be at, to volunteer for.
It is, right? It is fun, and the children are lovely. They love it. They're so excited, and I was a bit disappointed because the call went out. The engine actually got called out after the day started. Yeah, and they'd been showing the children what everything is on the side, and then the dee went off, and they all dashed off. But the children then all were watching the firefighters pull on their special, because they have their dungarees left, so they literally step into them and pull them up, and put their jackets and everything on, and they were watching that. And then it went off with blue lights on the engine, and the children were enthralled.
That must have been so exciting.
That was the highlight of their day. Some of them. They weren't that disappointed. There was another engine for them to look at, and it was quite a while. So
to see it like, they've gone to save the day.
They were absolutely mouths hanging open, parents filming it. So it was absolutely lovely that they got to see a call out, and they were really impressed. It came back a bit later, but others were there then. So it's that type of thing, just making sure people, if people don't have smoke alarms in their house, do they need a visit? Are they interested? Do they want some information? Can we book you a visit? Things like that, just taking their details.
Yeah.
And community groups. My colleagues visit a lot of community groups in different locations. They're always having requests for, can you come and give a safety talk? Etc. And obviously, if a staff member can go and volunteer help with them and perhaps distribute some information, collect some forms, etc., take details of anybody who needs further help, things like that. So everywhere we need volunteer help.
Yeah, of course.
To go with staff.
What are some of the things that you guys are teaching when it comes to safety sort of stuff?
Well, the home fire safety booklet, one of the main things is, do you have a smoke alarm? Is it working? And to test it. Now, we recommend that you test it every week. And a lot of people say, I test it on bin day, because that's when I remember.
Okay.
Just test the battery's still working, or even if it's hardwired, that it's actually functioning. But if you can't do it every week, at least once a month.
Yeah.
So that's an important safety message we're putting out. The other thing I will say is escape plan. Think about your escape route. If you were at home and hopefully you never need it, but fingers crossed, if there was a fire in the middle of the night, how would you get out? Are your keys near the door, or are the keys hidden somewhere?
Yeah.
Would you be able to find them in the smoke and the dark? Where are the children? Do the children know to stay in their room until mummy calls them, or are they to come into your room, or things like that? And what door would you go to, etc., etc.? If you have somebody who's not very mobile, can't do stairs, perhaps in a hurry, what you're going to do, the best place is to get them into a room, preferably at the front, as far away from the fire as you can. Put clothes or something under the door to block the smoke, open the window, and when you phone the fire brigade, to let them know that there's somebody in one of the rooms and which room they're in. And that somebody's immobile and needs help getting out. But essentially, the thing to do if you discover a fire or smoke, to get out, phone 999,
100%.
and to stay outside.
Yeah.
Don't try and fight it.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I mean, that's the thing. A lot of people will maybe think that they know what they're doing, but you don't necessarily even know what type of fire it is, and that changes everything.
Exactly. And I'm not a firefighter as such, so my background's not firefighting, but that is our basic information about safety. We've got information online about home safety and other safety. We're also at the moment promoting water safety messages. What do you mean? One of those is that it depends which part of the county you're in, but some areas have more lakes and rivers than others, and some, it's like when it's hot. I want to go swimming, don't you? Yeah. So, and sometimes people go swimming and they get into trouble, and the instinct is to jump in and help them. And we say, don't. Phone 999 and ask for fire. Because sometimes as well, people say, I'll have police or ambulance, and actually you need the fire because we have the equipment. And stay on the bank. On a lot of areas now, what's being fitted are throw lines. They're big yellow boards, a bit like a defib board. Yeah. So if there's an incident, you phone 999, you say, I'm at this place, but it will have all the details on the board, a location, and then they'll give you a code, and inside there'll be a throw line, and you hang on to one end and you throw the other which is a type of a float thing, and you throw it to the person in the water for them to grab hold of. And we recommend that, but not going in, because otherwise
it turns a 1 to a 2 situation.
Exactly. Nobody's on the bank, somebody's fallen in the river. Was it here? Was it there? The other thing to look at is also to think about an app called What 3 Words, which is an app that's free to download. Now, if you're in town, it's probably less needed because you can give an address, or you can say, I'm on this road or that road outside this house. But if you're in the country, it's very hard to describe exactly where you are. And this is like a geographical locator. I mean, you can do the same with an ordnance survey reference. But that's quite a lot of numbers and digits. And this app gives you 3 words which are unique, and it cuts it down to a very small area so that the fire service, if there's any incident, or the police or anybody, you give the 3 words and they know exactly where you are.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a very unique thing. I've never heard of that before.
No, it's fairly new. The app.
What was that called again?
What, WHAT, 3 words.
Yeah, get downloading.
WORDS. Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
And if you're stuck out in the country and there's an incident and you're trying to call for help and you haven't got the app and you're trying to download it and the signal's not good and your data's nearly allowance is.
Yeah, because we never truly prepared for a situation like that, really. We most of the time think that everything's fine because you go through most of life and you don't have incidents go on. Life can be relatively normal, but I can say from experience myself that there's been a few times in my life where I've had to act, and luckily things have gone quite well because of it. But if we didn't have precautions in place before the incident happened, then it would have been a lot worse for the people that were involved. So, preparation's 100% key for safety in these sorts of things.
I think with the water safety, one of the main things is that people don't instinctively think fire. I need the fire service.
Yeah, because it's water.
But the fire...
That's what it is, isn't it?
Yes, so it seems counterintuitive.
Yeah, it does.
But I know, especially in the middle of the county and more north, they are quite busy with water activities. It's just because of the layout, there are more waters and lakes and people go more wild swimming around there. But obviously that doesn't apply around the coast. You'd call the Coast Guard.
Luton is not really a
no, but you could still get into trouble in the river or something.
Yeah, you could, 100%, yeah.
Or, you might be outside Luton, you might live in Luton and think, I'll just go up there and see what it's like up there. There's a lovely river up there and things. So it's always useful to know that.
Yeah.
But home safety is a big thing with us and the community safety team. So
yeah, going back to them, we talk about the actual volunteering with respect to the home safety, because that's obviously what they do a lot. What does the training entail?
The training, people have to be a little bit patient because it is quite extensive, but it's all necessary. So we had a training day a couple of weeks ago for volunteers, and that comprised of one of my colleagues giving a safety talk as if they were visiting a house, what they would do, what they need to look out for, advice, where to get further information. They learnt about other aspects of the fire service. And we also have, in Luton, we've got what we call a safety house. And it's set up as a house and there's hazards. So the hazards are deliberately there. Some of them are really obvious, like there's a big knife sticking out of the toaster. But that's an obvious one. But the idea is, can you go around and what hazards can you spot? Yeah. Another common thing is, and it's because we've all got so many electrical appliances, people plug in an extension lead and then they plug another extension lead in
into an extension lead. Yeah, I know. It's such a big mistake. I'm an electrician, and that is a big no in my house.
My brother's an electrician, so I've had the talks before now. But also overloading sockets, putting on multiple sockets into one socket, and essentially anything that heats needs its own socket, and not more than 13 amps in a socket and so forth, unless it's your commercial premises, and it might be different. But it's all those sort of things home safety visitors can advise on, and we provide training for that. So they learn about that. There's also safeguarding, cyber security, quality and diversity, confidentiality, how to comply with data protection. It sounds a little bit heavy, but it's not, and it's in bite-sized chunks.
Yeah, okay.
It's really presented, and there's support. So I will support any volunteer through the training, and it's not a question of, you do this, and if you get it wrong, that's it. It's like, that's fine. Just go through it again. It's not a problem. And then they will shadow somebody. They will have gone through checks prior to that. So there'll be some references, if we can get references, and DBS checks, ID checks and things. They'll then shadow a colleague, an experienced colleague. So they'll go to several visits and see how they've done. And then they'll have a go with somebody helping them, just supporting them, being there. They'll do that a few times, and where they're confident and we're confident, then they'll take the big step, do a visit on their own.
Yeah.
As and when they feel comfortable doing it. But at any point, they can just say, I don't feel comfortable, and leave it. So we're there all the time to support them. All through their volunteering, there's somebody on hand to support them. Usually me, but it depends what they're doing, when it is and where they are. It might be a colleague, but they always have a named person and control available to help them.
Okay, no, that's really good.
And we pay travel expenses.
Yeah.
So, if you're driving around even a few miles, it can add up, especially if you're a bit tight. It's like petrol's going up and nothing else, your income's not going up. So we pay travel expenses, pre-approved travel expenses, etc. And we provide uniform, a nice shirt and a nice jacket and ID. If for some reason, some people, the shirts tend to be short sleeve white shirts. If you don't like wearing that type of shirt, we can make allowances. We can go with just ID or a jacket. Yeah. All visits are pre-arranged, etc., etc. So you're not just flung out on your own.
Yeah, no, that's good.
You're part of the team, and they're really lovely team.
That's what it sounds. I was just about to say. It sounds like you're essentially working for a regular business. Like it doesn't sound too much like volunteering, as opposed to being within an organisation where you're probably going to have team members that you're quite familiar with, and we were saying previously, for people that maybe have been out of work for a little while, this can be a really, really good way for them to get back into the
because
into the sphere of work.
you're supported. It doesn't feel as pressurised as work. And if you have an issue at any time, there's no problem with it. We're not going to say to you, oh right, you asked a question, you're no good. It's like, great, I'm glad you asked that question, because probably somebody else was wondering and hadn't asked it. So, you're asking that question because you want to know more. So that's great.
Yeah.
So it's not a problem. It's very supportive, and the team, both in South County and North County, are lovely.
Yeah. Well, just to wrap this up then, let's talk about just how people can actually come and volunteer for you guys.
You get in touch with me.
Yeah.
And you can do that lots of ways. You can go online at bedsfire.gov.uk, or you can email me on Janet Brennan. That's Janet, JANET, .Brennan, BRENNAN, at bedsfire.gov.uk, or you can phone me. Just phone me and have a chat. 075 43 301 604.
Oh, okay. So that's how you get hold of you and
find out more.
Yeah, find out more. Be part of the team and start helping people. Start doing something to give a little back and being part of the change.
Or just if you see the fire service at any event, see if I'm there. If I'm not there, just say to one of the others, "Oh, I'm interested in volunteering." And they'll take your details and pass them on to me, or they'll give you a little leaflet as a reminder with my number on it.
Yeah, and then
just get in touch. Honestly, for chat, no obligation.
It's so easy. Like I said before, I think people sometimes get put off by the idea of reaching out to do stuff like this, but it's actually so easy, and it's a really quick process. And before you know, you'll be helping.
We want people all over the county, from everywhere. Doesn't matter if you haven't worked before, whatever. If you want to help, please phone up.
Definitely.
See what we can do.
Well, thank you very much, Janet.
No, thank you, Deadpool. You're the hero.
No, don't be silly. No, please don't. I hate when people say this. I hate it. I am a moron in a suit that gets to talk to people for some reason.
You make people's lives. You lift us up. You make us joyful.
Yeah, well, that's nice of you to say. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing you at more events.
Yeah, I'll see you soon.
Yeah, sign up, people. See you later. Love you, Luton. Bye. Bye.